The roots of the Israel-Iran rivalry run deep. They are intertwined with the tumultuous history of the Middle East. The 1979 Iranian Revolution marked a turning point. Ayatollah Khomeini's ascent to power transformed Iran. It became an Islamic republic. Khomeini's ideology was fiercely anti-Western and anti-Zionist. He saw Israel as an illegitimate entity. It was a beachhead of Western imperialism in the Muslim world. This stance resonated with many across the region. Iran positioned itself as a champion of the Palestinian cause. It provided support to Palestinian militant groups. This support further inflamed tensions with Israel. The rivalry has intensified over the decades. It is fueled by strategic competition, ideological clashes, and a history of mistrust. Both countries possess significant military capabilities. They view each other as existential threats. This perception has led to a dangerous cycle of escalation. Proxy conflicts, covert operations, and bellicose rhetoric have become the norm. The rivalry has far-reaching consequences. It destabilizes the Middle East. It undermines efforts to achieve a lasting peace between Israel and the Palestinians. The Israel-Iran rivalry is characterized by a complex web of proxy conflicts and flashpoints. These encompass a range of actors and battlegrounds. Lebanon has long been a central arena for this struggle. Iran provides extensive support to Hezbollah. Hezbollah possesses a formidable arsenal of rockets and missiles. These weapons are capable of striking deep into Israeli territory. Iran's involvement in the Syrian civil war has heightened tensions with Israel. Israel has conducted numerous airstrikes inside Syria. These strikes target Iranian military assets and weapons shipments bound for Hezbollah. Israel's strategic calculus is driven by an overarching concern: survival. Surrounded by hostile neighbors, Israel has adopted a security-first approach. It prioritizes the defense of its territory and citizens. Iran's nuclear ambitions pose the most significant threat to Israel's security. Israel views a nuclear-armed Iran as an existential threat. It fears that Iran could use nuclear weapons to attack Israel directly. It could also provide them to terrorist groups like Hezbollah. To counter this perceived threat, Israel has pursued a multi-pronged strategy. It maintains a policy of nuclear ambiguity. Israel neither confirms nor denies possessing nuclear weapons. This posture is meant to deter potential adversaries. Israel has also developed sophisticated missile defense systems. These systems, such as the Iron Dome and David's Sling, are designed to intercept rockets and missiles launched from Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. Furthermore, Israel has engaged in covert operations. These operations include sabotage, assassinations, and cyber attacks. Their aim is to disrupt Iran's nuclear program and weaken its military capabilities. Iran's regional ambitions are rooted in a complex mix of ideology, geopolitics, and historical grievances. The country aspires to be the dominant power in the Middle East. It seeks to export its Islamic revolution and challenge Western influence in the region. Iran's support for proxy groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and various Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria is integral to its strategy. These proxies serve as force multipliers, allowing Iran to project power and undermine its adversaries without risking direct confrontation with more powerful states like Israel or the United States. Iran's regional ambitions are also driven by a deep-seated sense of grievance and insecurity. The country has faced numerous external threats throughout its history, including Western-backed coups, crippling economic sanctions, and a devastating war with Iraq. These experiences have fueled a siege mentality within Iran's ruling elite. They view the United States and its allies, including Israel, as inherently hostile and determined to undermine Iran's sovereignty. This perception reinforces Iran's pursuit of regional hegemony and its support for armed groups that challenge the existing regional order. Section 5. The shadow war escalates, cyber attacks and covert operations. The Israel-Iran rivalry has increasingly spilled over into the cyber domain. Cyber attacks offer a deniable and potentially devastating means of inflicting damage. Israel has emerged as a cyber powerhouse. It developed the Stuxnet virus, sabotaging Iran's nuclear program in 2010. Iran has invested heavily in its cyber capabilities. Iranian hackers have targeted Israeli businesses and critical infrastructure. These attacks often coincide with periods of heightened tension. Section 6. The peril of miscalculation, brinkmanship, and unintended consequences. The Israel-Iran rivalry is fraught with the risk of miscalculation. Both countries engage in brinkmanship. They push their actions to the edge of conflict, hoping to deter the other side without triggering an all-out war. However, this approach carries inherent dangers. Misinterpretations, accidents, or unintended escalation could spiral into a broader conflagration. Several factors heighten the risk of miscalculation. Both countries operate in a climate of deep mistrust and hostility. They often attribute malign intentions to each other's actions. This lack of trust makes it difficult to interpret signals accurately or de-escalate crises. Furthermore, the proliferation of advanced weaponry in the region increases the potential for lethal escalation. A minor skirmish could quickly escalate into a full-blown war with devastating consequences. Section 7. The International Dimension: Great Power, Politics and Regional Alliances. The Israel-Iran rivalry does not exist in a vacuum. It is intertwined with the geopolitical interests and actions of global and regional powers. The United States has been a key player in this dynamic. It is a staunch ally of Israel and views Iran as a rogue state. Washington's efforts to contain Iran's nuclear ambitions and counter its regional influence have significantly shaped the contours of the rivalry. The Trump administration's decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal and impose crippling sanctions exacerbated tensions. It pushed Iran closer to the brink. Russia's involvement in Syria has added another layer of complexity. Moscow's military intervention in 2015 helped bolster the Assad regime. It also expanded Russia's influence in the region. This development has put Russia on a collision course with Israel at times. Russia has sought to avoid direct conflict with Israel while maintaining its strategic objectives in Syria. This delicate balancing act has made the situation even more volatile and unpredictable. Section 8. The Arab Gulf states, caught between fear and pragmatism. The Arab Gulf states, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, find themselves caught between fear and pragmatism in the Israel-Iran rivalry. They share Israel's concerns about Iran's regional ambitions and nuclear program. They have also been targets of Iranian-backed attacks and subversion. However, these Gulf states are wary of being drawn into a direct conflict with Iran. They are acutely aware of their own vulnerabilities. They fear retaliation against their critical infrastructure, energy exports, and civilian populations. This balancing act has led to a complex web of relationships. The Gulf states have quietly cooperated with Israel on security and intelligence matters. They share a common adversary in Iran. However, they remain publicly committed to the Palestinian cause. They are hesitant to fully normalize relations with Israel without a resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This balancing act reflects the complex geopolitical realities of the Middle East. It underscores the challenges in forging a united front against Iran. Section 9. The Uncertain Trajectory: Scenarios for the Future. Predicting the future trajectory of the Israel-Iran rivalry is perilous. The situation is fluid and volatile. Several scenarios are possible. One scenario is a continuation of the status quo. This carries significant risks. Miscalculation could lead to broader conflict. Another scenario is a negotiated settlement, addressing core issues like Iran's nuclear program. A third scenario is major escalation leading to war. This would be catastrophic for the region. Section 10. The Quest for Peace, a Distant Hope. The Israel-Iran rivalry casts a long shadow over the Middle East. It represents a significant obstacle to achieving lasting peace and stability in the region. The deep-seated mistrust, ideological divisions, and competing strategic interests make finding common ground exceedingly difficult. However, the pursuit of peace, however elusive it may seem, remains essential. The human cost of continued conflict is simply too high. Breaking the cycle of hostility and mistrust requires a multifaceted approach. It necessitates dialogue, however difficult or unlikely it may seem at present. It requires addressing the legitimate security concerns of both sides. It involves finding ways to build trust and reduce tensions. It also requires the active engagement of the international community. Global powers can play a constructive role. They can encourage dialogue, facilitate negotiations, and help enforce any agreements reached. The path to peace will be long and arduous, but the alternative, continued conflict and instability, is simply unacceptable.